Hey guys, welcome back and happy Wednesday. Today I'm going to tell you the creepy story of the Sodder children, but before I do have a question for you. So this company kind of asked me whether or not I would be interested in doing merchandise with them, and they gave me this whole business plan thing, and I really wanted to know whether or not you guys would buy my merch if I came out with some. I would be the one designing it and making it, and it'd probably be more on the vintagey side because I like that style, but I don't know yet. So please let me know in the comments if I came out with merch, if you would buy it. Okay, so this is the story of the Sodder children. It is really creepy and kind of unexplained at the end, and I really want to know what you think. So at the end, I'm going to ask you which side you lean on or what you believe. By the way, this story is completely true. You can go look it up. It's the story of the Sodder children, S-O-D-D-E-R. So there is this woman named Jenny Sodder, and she is married to this man named George Sodder, and they had 10 kids together. This happened in 1945 in Fayetteville, West Virginia, and this happened on Christmas Eve. So I guess that the Sodder children had gotten a bunch of toys for Christmas Eve, and they were really excited to stay up and play with them. So out of the 10 children, there were 5 that asked to stay up late and play with their new toys. It was Betty, Maurice, Martha, Louis, and Jenny. They had done their chores before, and their parents said that they could stay up late and play with them since they did their chores. So around midnight that night, Jenny Sodder, the mother, wakes up to this mysterious phone call that she gets, and this woman is on the other line, and she asks to speak to this woman that Jenny Sodder had never heard of. And then the woman on the other line just started laughing and hung up, which was really weird. And I guess that Jenny Sodder, she thought it was a prank call, so she just put down the phone and tried to go back to bed. But before she did, she realized that all of the lights in the house were on, as well as all of the shades were up, and all of the doors were unlocked, which was really strange and still unexplained. So then she goes back to bed, and around 1:30 a.m. she wakes up to this noise on the roof, and she's like, what is that? And then she realizes that the house is on fire. So she yells at her husband and says, get everybody out of the house, and 2 of the sons got out along with one of the daughters, who was also carrying the baby of the house. So the 4 of them got out safe and out of the house along with Jenny and George Sodder, the mother and the father. But Betty, Maurice, Martha, Louis, and Jenny were still missing. So when George Sodder realized that the kids were still missing, he goes to find this really tall ladder that he can lean up against the house to look into their kids' bedrooms. And when he tries to go find the ladder, it's missing. And later on, it was found in an embankment far away from the house. If you don't know what an embankment is, it's basically like a riverbank or a ditch or something of that nature, and it was hidden there, and they did not put it there, so I guess somebody did. We'll get to that. So the house burned down in less than 45 minutes, and for the whole house to burn down that quick, that's pretty big, because I think it takes longer than that normally. But when it was investigated, everybody originally said that it was due to faulty wiring and everything, and they found some bone fragments and some organs and stuff, and then they tested some of it, and it turned out to be from a cow, beef liver. So that was kind of strange. I don't know why they would have that laying around their house, like in that type of nature, like on the floor of the house. So later on, the coroner declared that the Sodder children had died in the fire, and then later George Sodder decided to, against the fire marshal's wishes, to plow over the ashes of the house and plant a flower field or a garden in memory of his dead children. Months later, after their children's presumed death, Jenny and George Sodder started to believe that their children had actually not died in the fire and that they were taken. One of their reasonings to believing this is because shortly before or after the fire, they're not sure, somebody had cut the telephone wires to their house so that they couldn't call anybody for help. A lot of witnesses in their neighborhood actually reported seeing the Sodder children after they had presumably died. And so Jenny and George Sodder tried to get the case reopened, thinking that their children are not dead. But the court decided not to reopen it because they believed that there was no type of crime involved in this. So 4 years later, in 1949, they went back over and excavated the ashes, well, where the garden is now, and tried to find more evidence of anything. And they found 2 bones from the vertebrae and 2 very small bones from a child's hand. But that is all they found. So the pathologist that was on this case actually said it was very strange that they didn't find more bones, because since the fire had burnt down the house so quickly, which was 45 minutes, which is pretty unusual, there should have been more bones, because since it burned down so quickly, I guess that it wouldn't have gotten to burn down all of the children's bones. So he just thought it was weird that there were not more there. So after the pathologist had looked at these bones, he said that they were probably from a 14 to a 15-year-old boy's bones, which would have matched Maurice's age, but due to the location in which they were found in the house, or where the house would have been, by looking at the floor plans, George Sodder did not believe that it was his son's. Another analysis was conducted on these same bones many years later, and it actually turns out that these bones were from a 16 to a 20-year-old person's body, and they had no sign of fire damage at all. And there was a theory that the bones came from a nearby cemetery and someone dug them up and I guess placed them in the house. In 1968, George and Jenny Sodder received this photograph of a boy in the mail. The photo was actually from their case, and on the back of the photo, it said, "Louis Sodder, I love brother Frankie, ill boys." And then I guess the case number on the back of the photo. So the Sodders do believe that this is a picture of their son Louis, although they don't know who sent it to them and why, and the man still remains unidentified, but they do believe that it is their long-lost son. So that is basically the end of the story, but a lot of people think that the children had actually died in the fire and nothing suspicious happened at all. And then a lot of people theorize that these children were taken to Italy and kidnapped, and the entire fire and everything that happened was set up to cover up this crime. And also the youngest child of the Sodder family, which was the little infant that made it out with her brothers and her sister, is still alive, and to this day still is curious as to what happened to her other siblings and is still looking for them. So my question for you is, what do you think happened to the Sodder children? Do you think that they actually died in the fire and nothing mysterious went on at all? Or do you think that they were kidnapped and taken to Italy and that everything was just set up to cover up the crime? Please let me know what you think happened in the comments, and also let me know if you would buy my merch. But other than that, thank you so much for watching my YouTube video, and I will see you guys next week. Bye!